So everyone else is coming in within the next 5 minutes, but
okay, no problem.
Share. And Dr. Wright's here right now too, so.
Yeah, I don't need to screen share or anything like that.
Okay. Never mind, Dr. Wright. Ms. Brooks came and checked it out for me. You're on mute.
Ms. Brooks, you have a different look every time I see you. I have a different look every time too. You got to keep it interesting and new.
Got to keep it fresh for the people.
Ew.
Mm-mm. I'm bringing Aaron in right now.
Hi, Aaron. Can you hear me? I keep forgetting I'm on mute. How are you? You're on mute now too, Aaron.
Yeah, I'm on Teams all day, and Teams joins me into meetings, you know, with my not muted, unmuted.
Oh, okay.
So I'm not trained. Zoom joins and we're muted, I guess. Anyway, hi.
Hi. How was your holiday?
It was so nice. I did not want to start working again on Sunday. I was happy that on Monday it was pouring rain. It made it easier.
It made it easier to want to stay in the bed because that's what it did for me.
Well, you know, it was so pretty. I was really happy. I don't know how many people tried to do outside or had to do outside Thanksgivings, you know, in order to be with people. But I was so happy on Thanksgiving that it was such a beautiful day around here.
It was.
Because I know some of my friends were like, if they couldn't do it outside, they were just going to be alone. You know, some of my colleagues. So I was happy that at least, because we had people anyway. We got too many people here, but. Hi, Gina.
Nice. Hi, Gina.
I haven't met Jewel. Are we going to get introduced?
You are. Jewel, you want to introduce yourself? This is Erin, our board chair, Gina, our former board chair and current board member.
Nice to meet you.
You're going to have to do this like 12 more times, but go ahead.
Yeah, that's okay. I'll give you guys the spring training version. So my name is Jewel Brooks, and I'm the Marketing and Communications Manager here at Paul. And the Marketing and Communications Department is now incorporating development this year with Giving Tuesday. Previously, from my predecessor, Risa, she did Giving Tuesday to support the study abroad. But this year, we're going to remix it a little bit, and we're going to launch the Technology Assistance Program. So
Wonderful.
Our program, yes, it's going to be great. And it's really to benefit our graduating seniors in the high school. So not all of our seniors have resources available after Paul. And we want to make sure they have the electronics, the hardware, or the software they need for their freshman year of college, whether that's a full-blown laptop, since they're giving back their Chromebooks, or if it's assistive technology, something like an enhanced monitor or a tablet, a sketching stylus, anything that makes their life in college easier and more comfortable.
So wow, thank you. we got the whole thing. Of course, like I said, you're gonna have to do that whole thing again. And very unfairly, Christina comes in the middle and makes it very hard for us to pay attention. That is, let's see that cutie again.
You see what he just did?
Oh,
So I may miss the very beginning of the meeting. I'm
what is
sorry.
it about us that moves you that way, Xavier? I don't understand.
Oh my goodness. Okay, he stinks. I'm gonna go on mute and cut my video off. I'll be back.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
How's everybody doing?
Doing well. It's good to see everybody.
Let's see. We are at time, so we can start, right? I think we got most people here. Manya's taking attendance, right? So she'll keep track of it. Well, welcome, and let's recite the mission. Does everybody have your board book? You ready? Don't mute yet, because it feels silly if I'm doing this by myself. The mission of Paul is to educate our students and to develop in them the capacity to be responsible citizens, independent thinkers, and leaders. There we go. And we're going to all have it memorized by next month, right? All right. Did you have a chance to review the minutes? And can I have a motion to approve, please?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Dan. And a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. And then we have to do the roll call, right? So I'll vote yes. And then Jackie?
Yes.
Jeff? Jeff, you're muted. Can you hear us?
Yes.
This is supposed to be the easy part, voting yes on the minutes.
There's so many things going on here.
Gina?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Janisa?
Yes.
Kemba?
Yes.
And Christina, are you too busy or can you vote? She'll be back. What do we do? What are the rules? Do I just wait for her? I mean, we have to come back to her, or we just leave it?
I just think she's present. I think it's
Present.
fine.
There we go. Okay, great. And that's everybody, right? At least that's everybody I'm seeing. Okay, so then it looks like we have the minutes pass with that. And I think then we are on to our CEO's report.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the December board meeting, the last board meeting of 2020. Excited about that for so many different reasons. My hope is that when we have our next December meeting, we actually are enjoying it over some dinner together, which is awesome. I'm going to start by actually asking Jewel Brooks, who is our marketing communications manager. We invited her here this evening to share with you all what we're doing this year around Giving Tuesday, and to encourage everyone to give. It's super exciting, it's different, and it's new. We have adapted to our times. And still are going to be able to service our scholars with an amazing gift from what we collect this year. And so with that, I'm going to punt to her for a very brief sharing of how we're going to support our scholars this year.
Good evening, everybody. As Dr. Wright said, my name is Jewel Brooks, and I'm the Marcoms manager for all three sections of the Paul organization. This year, we have a very exciting initiative. So historically, Giving Tuesday at Paul has supported the Study Abroad initiative. But this year, of course, we already know that plans have changed. So instead, we are going to pivot our attention to a very specific group of scholars. We are going to raise money for the Technology Assistance Program, which is a program that is set to donate much needed electronics to our most underserved graduating seniors. So electronics is a very broad term, and that means everything from hardware like laptops or tablets, or even some cases monitors, keyboards, mice, things like that, to software, which means things like Adobe Creative Suite or the Microsoft Office Suite for some of our scholars who may have the opportunity to have the hardware, but not every computer is created equally. But we all all know that college is a very competitive landscape, and they might just need certain electronic technological accoutrements to make themselves more comfortable. Electronics this year for the technology assistance program also falls under appliances. So if we have seniors who are underserved who may have the laptop, or they may have, all of the programs, all of the apps fully loaded, they need a fridge because they're in a dorm, or they need a microwave. It's the little things, or in some cases, even like a little, TV, the things that make your college experience complete, the things that don't make you stand out, that looks like somebody fully prepared you for your welcome weekend. We want to make sure that our seniors are taken care of. We made sure that they got through all 4 years, or at least the last year. And for some of them, almost all of them, their junior and senior year have been virtual, so that they're really in this space where they're so away from us, but we don't want to take our hands off just yet. We want to make sure once they cross the virtual commencement stage that they're already prepared for their freshman years. And technology is one of those things that is so adaptive through upgrades and downloads and cloud services that it really can sustain them for the next 4 years of their college career. I don't know about you guys, but my Dell, it got me through undergrad, it got me through grad school, it got me through my first, sort of like big job, where they're paying me. And it was just one of those things that without having that computer there, I would not be able to be a competitor in any way, shape, or form. I wouldn't be able to go to the library until 3 a.m. But having that laptop with my fridge running right there that had so much Diet Coke you wouldn't believe, it made me a whole scholar in a collegiate standpoint. So this year, instead of just buying, just a bunch of school supplies or stuff that we know that we can give and also, keep with us on the Paul campus, or the scholars can keep in their home, we want to send them off with a little piece of us. And Paul is able to do that through Giving Tuesday and through the technology assistance campaign that is going to span not just today, which we've already raised $1,200 towards raising laptops, tablets, software, cameras, microphones for our seniors, but also throughout the rest of the month. So we're going to go into holiday season with the TAP program, and we're also going to renew this effort in the spring after the admission season. Once we're sort of done with our recruitment efforts, that's when we can really celebrate our seniors. They can see the finish line, and we're going to have a box for our most underserved seniors right there with them. So I hope that you all have an opportunity. I'll place the details in the chat as to not disturb the meeting, but have the opportunity to really think about what you needed in college, all the things that you had to plug into a wall, and make sure that our seniors who need it the absolute most, and as many seniors as possible, by the way, get the gift of technology, get the gift of software, get the gift of completion on their college campus way after they're done being Paul graduates. So that's my spiel.
Thank you so much.
Wonderful spiel it was. I just want to add one quick piece. And Ms. Brooks, did you talk us through the levels of giving really quickly? Can you share? Did you say anything about the levels of giving really quickly?
I can bring it up right now. So I will also forward this to an email as well. So you guys don't just have it in the chat, you have it in your inboxes. But we have a couple different levels. So we have our pearls and rubies, which is just under, off the top of my head, which is just under $100. And that's able to buy a cloud subscription. So something like a Dropbox, an extension in sort of memory, things like that. Then our next level after that is bronze, which is about the just under $200 spectrum, which is a small appliance. Then after that is our median level of silver, which is exciting because silver level means that we can get our kids some things like a remote, oh my gosh, now I can't think of it. Remote storage, that's the word. That's the word I'm thinking of. We can get them remote storage, we can get them microphones, we can get them speakers, we can get them fun technology like stylus and a tablet. And then our platinum level giving is $250 or more, which helped to support by a senior a laptop, which is really great. And that's the one that I'm really after, because as much as I love assistive technology and software and things like that and USBs, I really feel most comfortable knowing that our seniors have a full-blown laptop like their Chromebook that we can gift them permanently. So if you can, If you can make sure that you reach for platinum, not just diamonds and gold, not just pearls and ruby, but really make that, it would make all the world of difference for our class of 2021, turning into the college class of 2025 seniors.
And if you want to be all the jewels and gems, you can give at each level. So you can be diamonds, rubies, pearls, and platinum all together if you'd like to. And as always, we like to make giving easy for our staff, for our board, and for our friends who may be watching our board meeting this evening. If they are interested in contributing, you can contribute with just one gift. You can make a pledge and you can make that payment just immediately, or you can break your payment up into a couple of installments if that is easier for you. Kind of like QVC, HSN, Affirm Pay, Afterpay, that whole thing that happens during the holiday season, because we understand that, there are a lot of different competing priorities. And so whichever is most possible and most feasible, any gift of any size, of course, that's going to benefit our students, we definitely appreciate.
So can you just do this on the website, on the Paul website? Where do you do this?
So you can donate directly on the website, and I'll put the URL in the chat, but it's paulcharter.org/donate. You can also write a hard check to Paul directly and send that in to our address. The business office is there. They'll receive the check. You can also do a PayPal donation. So if you have a PayPal account, Paul is set up to receive that way as well. And you can also, if you are Paul's staff and faculty, you can do a payroll deduction form. So far, Giving Tuesday was really targeted internally for staff and faculty. That's why you haven't seen a large outward campaign for it yet. That will be coming for the Christmas season. But our staff and faculty have made some amazing gifts. I will only mention them briefly and anonymously, but we had a faculty member give $500 in total at once without hesitation. So she's an amazing part of the student support team. And it was just really exciting to really know that these are 2 computers we can give to 2 seniors. And then we had a couple other faculty members who definitely made generosity a point this year. And I know that Mr. Henderson is on the call, and I can give him his little trophy right now. The operations team, all of them gave, and that was very exciting for I believe it's the 3rd year in a row that the ops team, 5th year in a row that the ops team had bested all of us with their generosity. And it makes my heart soar as a newer team member to be able to see what kind of spirit and power this organization is moving towards, and only being here in 7 months and seeing such a massive response on day 1, let alone day 25 of this campaign. I'm really excited. But yes, of course, you can donate on the website, and I can drop that URL in the chat.
Okay, do that. Thank you.
I just want to say that Will threatens his team that if they don't get their donations in before 10 a.m. so that they can have this bragging right, that he's going to do something.
And we got the bragging right, and we were the first ones to give it, and it's now recorded forever for everyone to see and hear publicly.
Yes, it's true.
This is not giving week. This is giving day, giving Tuesday.
But you're free to give all week.
You're free to give all year.
Yeah. So thank you all. Thank you, Ms. Brooks. And thank you to our board members. And we also are very grateful to our staff that comes out during not just Giving Tuesday, which is the actual day, but also during this period of time to make sure that we give to our students. They show up and show out when we were sending our students on trips, and we know and feel confident that they're going to do the same, for this as well. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Thank you so much, Ms. Brooks. I appreciate it. Have a good one. Okay. And Ms. Brooks's email was in. Manya, will you share what you said? You sent her email out earlier today?
Yes, I sent the same email that she was reading from at about 2:45 today, but I'll resend it tonight. Either she or I will resend it after we wrap up today.
Okay, awesome. All right, so moving on to the CEO's report. We shared in the board book the school performance slide deck that we went over in November with the school performance committee. That slide deck has some of our more updated data from our Q1 interim assessments, our interim exam assessments in there. What you all may remember from the last board meeting is that we're giving the same interim exams that we gave when our students were actually on site. So we were really happy and encouraged to see the growth in many areas. We'll continue to move and push hard where we didn't see as much growth as we were looking to. Again, we took a deep dive into that data. We wrapped up our mid-advisory assessments for the second quarter. Right before we went out for the Thanksgiving holiday. And those are still being scored, and we will be sharing that data with the school performance committee when we return in January. Just a quick note, we are actually in the middle of the accreditation process. It is time for AALE renewal. We have already gone through the process of submitting our applications for both schools. They were accepted. And now we are in the process, actually this week, Manya and I are working through developing the appropriate task forces that are going to help the accreditation team get through a self-study, which is due in February of next year. And then the last part of the process is going to be a site visit that's going to be conducted in late February, early March. We'll continue to keep the full board updated, but we'll probably go into more detail about this process with the executive committee. It's pretty straightforward, pretty cut and dry. Most of it will be handled between Manya and myself. As that's kind of been the process for the last couple of times that the school has gone through reaccreditation. And so there have been no hiccups. We don't anticipate any hiccups. It really is about a document presentation. And so we're looking forward to getting through that process. Okay. We are done with our enrollment audit. That was completed in October. We got the results in November, and we were credited for 716 students. There were 3 students that were in question, and we went back and forth with the state and ultimately, well, with the state, and ultimately we did receive credit for those 3 students, and so we will be funded for 716 students. There are 726 students that are in our system, just remembering that we have 10 students that are placed in residential or external schools, but they technically belong to Paul. They're our children. And then I'm going to actually punt to Span really quickly just to give you all a quick high level on the virtual Ed Fest that's set to happen on December the 12th.
Good evening, everyone. Our Ed Fest, which happens annually, is that opportunity for parents across the city to shop and find out more about their choices of schools for their children. This year, for the first time, it's not going to happen at the Armory, of course. There's going to be a virtual Ed Fest. And in essence, what's going to happen is each school is going to be given a room, a virtual room, in which parents will be signing up through My School DC for specific appointment slots to speak to representatives from the school. We are not allowed to have more than 2 to 3 representatives, so it will be our school leaders and select staff who will be speaking. It's a different atmosphere because if you've ever been to Ed Fest, you know, we really pump up the swag, the pictures, the visuals and all that. That won't be a factor. We don't have control over that. But what we will be doing is Ed Fest is going to be giving us a generated list of all the parents who come to our booth. And so a part of one of our first next steps with our recruitment season next year is to do some strong outreach with those parents. We have a joint open house that's happening next Thursday as a small teaser for Ed Fest. And at this joint open house, we'll be doing heavy advertising to really encourage as many parents as possible to make appointments for our booth on that Saturday. We've also this week started a heavy launch on Facebook and all of our platforms to really advertise and push out there our open house as well as Ed Fest coming up and requesting that people come by to see our booth. So It is the official launch of enrollment season for school year 21-22. We have a lot of work to do because this is a different type of enrollment that's virtual to pull parents back in to choose Paul.
Thank you for that, Ms. Span. There is a piece that I totally forgot to put in my CEO's report. I just wanted to mention to you all. So we, as you all know, have an impending changing of the guards relative to, the president, which also means the staff of the Department of Education. We also have a changing of the guards in the state. And you know what I mean when I say state, DC, in the State Department of Education for Washington, DC. So Hansul Kang left back in October, and Shanna Young, her former chief of staff, has been the interim state superintendent of education. Before Thanksgiving break, we had a pretty extensive meeting about testing. Just to, kind of, I guess, put a pin or a button, not a pin, but to button up what the plans were going to be for high stakes testing for this year, even though we know for like the PCSB, there's not going to be a formal PMF. There may be some STAR reporting, but it's no stakes STAR reporting. We are indeed going to be taking PARC, even when there are changes at the Department of Education. We have been assured by the interim state superintendent, Shanna Young, that we are still going to be pushing forward with taking the PARC assessment this year. We are also going to be pushing forward with taking the MSAA assessment, which is for our students with special needs. If they are at a certain level, they do a different type of assessment. We are also going to be moving forward with taking doing access testing. There are a lot of moving parts that have to be figured out with this, but I did think that it was important that the board knows that that's a definite. And so we have already started the process with our school teams and executive teams. We've always been preparing and making sure that our students are going to be ready academically, because that's our charge, test or no test. But there are a lot of details that there are still tons of questions that exist out there about how the test will be delivered, whether or not we need to prepare to do any site-based testing. We definitely know for access testing that that's an on-site assessment, that many pieces of it have to be administered by a teacher. So we are starting early in our planning to be able to administer those assessments, and understanding that it may require that we bring good numbers of students to the campus to assess. So just thought it important that everyone knew that is coming.
With PARC, is it determined whether that will be done in school or virtually?
No, they are working with, who is it, Pearson?
Yes.
Yeah, they're working with Pearson now to figure out how they could possibly deliver that, to students in their computers at home. Jeff, they also have not, even though they talked about the possibility of it being a shortened exam, which we're relatively confident that it would, they've not been super specific about that as of yet. They really are, I think, at the beginning stages of trying to work through the details associated with it, because it's going to be big. Big deal trying to do a high stakes assessment when a lot of kids are going to be virtual. So we anticipate when we come back from the winter break, getting a lot more detailed information about how this is all going to roll out, to include what we feel pretty confident will be a pretty extensive and long testing window, because there's the understanding that we're going to need additional time if we have to bring groups of students to site, which is optimal, to be quite honest with you. Okay. All right. And so we'll keep you all in the loop on that. We'll go into more detail with the SPC. The last two pieces are, we're in the middle of administering our annual TNTP Insight Survey, which is different from years past. The questions are different. It's a bit more extensive and long. And so we've had to do a lot more encouragement to get staff to take it. But it's important data just around the virtual instructional experience. And so that is underway. We'll be sharing that data with the SPC, and we will, of course, give the board a high level on it when it comes back. And then the last piece is just an FYI. Well, the Title IX rollout is done just about. We've trained all of our staff, and now we are moving on to our students and our families. We're very fortunate to have partnered with an external agency that put together the training modules for us. So we were all able to kind of do self-paced training on our computers, when we had time. And we had run through, there were a lot of modules. Feels like there were like 3 big ones, but like 4 or 5 sub modules within each of those. So it was a lot of training. So I'm glad that we had that time. And then the mental health trainings that are required by OSSI have been quite the challenge. Manya's looking at me because I still need to, I think I'm the lone person who did the wrong training. So I had to do it twice. So I'm the outlier right now, but we are done. Save Dr. Wright, who had to do it twice, even though Miss Mann had to do it twice too, and I teased her about it, but karma came back around and bit me, and I have to do it twice also.
Sorry,
So-
Tracy, is this something that is a mandated training, the Title IX? I missed that. This is mandated, something new?
Mandated, yeah. So this is part of the School Safety and Omnibus Act. It was part of bigger legislation, which included like the 20-year background checks that we had to do on employees. The board members signed a document that said something to the effect that you won't help certain people who have things in their background get jobs or employment. So this is the next piece that was due by the end of October, was having the training plan. We had to update our handbooks, and then we also have to have a training plan for our students and their families as well.
And just back to the Insight data, so that's done by an external organization, so they changed their survey?
They did, yeah. They changed it last year in the spring, and we didn't take it because they were just like, it was rushed and hurried because everyone was gone. And they usually give that ending survey in May, and it just was not appropriate for where we were. And so they went through and they did a revamp of it, and this is the winter administration. So we anticipate, so some of the data points, we'll be able to look over the years and see how they compare, kind of, but then there will be new data points that are more specific to teaching in the virtual environment.
Thank you. Are there other questions for Dr. Wright before we leave the CEO's report?
Yeah, this is Gina with a question. I'm sorry, what did you say about the assessments? Are they going to be, have teeth attached to them? Do we know?
No.
Okay.
They're not, no teeth.
Okay.
No teeth, but ... right? Like no teeth, but ...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see. I think there's a lot of pressure for states to continue to do the tests, the assessments, but it's, I think the federal department's still going to have to issue waivers if they want to make sure there's no accountability tied to it. So
correct. And that's the part, Gina, as you know, that now we're all kind of like looking to the new administration, which has tons of things that they need to work through. But this is at the top of the list, as we know, for the Department of Education, is like what's going on in the spring. Literally, you're talking about they have 3 months to like figure it out and get waivers in and all that good stuff, because testing windows have to open in April. We're talking about preliminarily anywhere between, usually the testing window is what, span like about 4 weeks.
Yeah, usually it's about 4 weeks, and usually we have 2 options. And the window is so long that we can look at the beginning of the window, and usually we choose the end of the window, which takes us into late April, early May is usually what our choice is. So
yeah. But now we know that we're going to have to extend it even more, again, just because if we're talking about bringing in small groups of children, bringing them in over multiple days so that, you know, they can have the best possible shot and outcome. We actually met about this morning, and our formal messaging campaign about testing and it being mandatory is going to start. When I said I was going to send the first notice home before we leave for winter break,
Right.
but then regularly thereafter, because that is a concern among schools that, you know, families are going to kind of feel like, hey, wait a minute, I still feel some kind of a way about sending my kids to school, and what's going to happen with this data. Okay. All righty, that's all I have.
Thank you. Anything else for Dr. Wright? Last call. Okay, so then let's move on to our treasurer's report.
Will, you want to lead us through it?
Yeah, sure. We had we already discussed our updates for enrollment today. So I think that as we go through our financials here, you'll see, you'll have your notes in your board book. Here we continue on in a great trajectory given the even despite the challenges we had with enrollment due to COVID this year. We have 88 days of cash on hand at the end of the year is our projection, and continue to have a coverage ratio far exceeding the needs of our covenants. And so we had a robust conversation about some of the shifts that we're making to accommodate the enrollment shortfall, and are ensuring that we in particular have are able to provide for our kids, especially the technological resources to our kids that we are serving here. The board book says we had an enrollment of 713, which was up to date at the finance committee meeting. And as we closed our books and finished the discussions back and forth with the enrollment, the folks who certify our enrollment, we did have the 3 children that we had discussed in the finance committee meeting. And prior to that, we were able to get all 3 of those kids onto our books. So then next month's finance committee meeting will reflect that 716 number. One important item of note that is the only kind of substantive shift is due to an accounting rule that's important to note here. We are an organization that is Medicaid eligible, that has gone through a very lengthy process of getting access to Medicaid reimbursements. This is typically on a 2-year lag. And so we're only just now only soon, really this year, going to start seeing some of the money that will come in through the doors for services that we provided a couple of years ago. Historically, that money should be recognized in the year that the cash was received, because it's such a volatile number. But those accounting rules shifted for FY right at the very end of FY19. And so we made those changes to the we're in FY21. That change was made in FY20. So we just completed our audit, which we passed with excellence, but we did make that update for the recognition of the forecasted Medicaid reimbursements on FY20, but that rule will also apply in this coming year. And so you can see that is in your board books, that projected Medicaid revenue we will get, that will probably not get till next, or for 2 more years. We'll not get the cash for 2 more years. It is reflected as revenue here. So that's one point of note of change, but otherwise, fairly, we're still in an excellent position as we continue in this very strange year.
Yeah, I would just to echo, I mean, we're at the point of the year where there's not huge changes. I think come January or February, if there's any changes around students being able to increasingly come in, if there's any need for more technology or hybrid, obviously there's no expectations for the teaching model to change materially, but if to the extent that there is, we would update the model accordingly. But a lot of our work starting in the new year will be thinking about the budget for the next fiscal year and perhaps revisiting some of the capital budgets for the building, et cetera, going into the next year. But I wouldn't expect, I guess we're not having another meeting in December, but I wouldn't expect the next report to be materially different until we know much more come the spring.
Any questions for Dan or Will? Okay, you have the committee reports in your board book. And so we have an opportunity here if you have any questions. I guess it would just be for Janisa because you've just heard the other one. The other thing I wanted to mention while we're on the subject of the committee reports is we have wanted to emphasize, or we do want to emphasize, that if there are board members who want to have more information about what the school performance or finance committee is doing, and you really want to attend the meeting so that you get all of this information that you've just heard, but in a lot more depth, then you just need to let Dan or Janisa know so that they can make sure that you've got the, the link and the time and so forth. But that's always open if you have an interest in that and you feel like you want to have more information about what's happening in the committee meetings. So anything else on or anything on committees? Any questions about committees? All right, then we're on to new business, and I wanted to mention two things before I call for new business, just very quickly. One is that Dan had brought to our attention that maybe not everybody is aware of how you can sort of follow along with Paul and what's happening in the school, and particularly in the virtual environment when we don't even get to go into the school and see anything. Even just walking to the board meeting, it was nice to be able to watch, stop and watch the kids play basketball or whatever. We don't even have that kind of contact now. So one of the easy ways to do that is to follow Paul on social media, and all the links are on the school website. You can also sign up on the website to be part of the update. There's a list of if you want to receive updates. So that's at the bottom of the website. But whatever your preference is, Paul's on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, and you can follow all the sports teams if you want to. Or you can follow the general sports one. So that you can follow Paul Talent. There's just a lot that you can follow if you're interested, and it will give you some insight into what's happening. And you also get to see lots of nice pictures, and it will usually cheer you up at the very least. If you just want to see lots of happy, smiling people, that's a good reason to follow too. So anything else about that?
Aaron, I just wanted to go on, Jenny. So were you going to talk about tours?
Yes, I was. You should go ahead though.
Go on.
The school performance committee next week, I believe on the 7th and the 8th, is doing, we're joining in on the classroom visits. So if anybody else on the board wanted to join in on that as well, you can reach out to me or Monia and we can get you set up.
Wonderful, thank you. Anything else?
Is this still open or new business, Aaron?
Well, I was going to actually ask you if you would talk about the trustee recruitment, please.
Yeah, so we need an additional trustee. to even out we need to have an odd number of trustees. And so we do have, every opening, we have kind of natural attrition. So we do need one more person. And Aaron and Tracy and Kemba, I think, got together and thought about the qualities that we're looking for in a new board member. And we'll be recruiting around that. But I don't know, I kind of defer to you, Aaron, or Kemba, if you want to talk about what we're looking for.
Sure. Well, and Tracy may want to add in, or Kemba or Tracy, but I'll start. We thought that in this time, given what the students are going through and how, some of the sort of unique difficulties of the virtual environment and so forth, that having somebody with some kind of expertise in community-based organizations who maybe has more of the social service sort of aspect of it, that would be somebody who could, potentially bring a perspective that we don't have so much. So we also don't have anybody from the Latinx community. So it would be great to have somebody who has worked with those students or represents that community. So those were some of the characteristics that we're looking for. We had also, and I'll let Kemba and Tracy come in to add to that, but just to say, the reason we're telling you all this is because we've decided that rather than having education board partners start the recruitment process for us, as they have in the past, and some of you were recruited that way, we've actually been really pleased with the internal recruitment that we've done. At this point, I'm looking around and I'm realizing we're about probably maybe almost half and half of who's been recruited which way. So our board members that have recruited other people in their networks have gotten us some great recruits. So I'm looking at Kemba and Christina, and I think Janisa, didn't you come through that way as well? If I'm remembering, I can't remember whether you were.
Education board partners.
You did education board partners too. That's how I came on board. So we found people in different ways, but we thought we would start with our own internal networks. And so that's why we're telling you about what we're looking for. So maybe you can reach out to people. And so Gina will be finalizing with Christina, finalizing a description of the position, so to speak, that then she'll circulate and we can circulate. But Kemba and Tracy, what else did we talk about that I haven't mentioned here?
I think that's it. We definitely are targeting someone who has connections in the social service agency / nonprofit, social services, mental health, behavioral wellness arena for our students. We, are going to be dealing with the reverberations of, this period of time for a long time. One of the things that we talked about, I can't remember if it was in our check-in, Aaron, one of the many check-ins that I've had, that we talked about the fact that next year, in both our middle school and our high school, half of the children will have never attended school in our school. I want to say that again. Half of the students next year in the high school will have, maybe a little bit more than half, will have never attended school in our actual brick and mortar building. And actually 2/3 of the middle school students will have never attended school in our brick and mortar building until they come next year. So,
and to further dramatize it, the last third and an additional fourth in the high school will have only been in our building for a total of 6 months. So we'll only have one grade level of kids when we start the school year next year that has completed a year of school in our building.
That is right. That's correct, Will, because our 6th graders who will be 8th graders next year were only with us in the building until March. And then our 11th graders for next year, which is always the sweet spot for our kids, like that 11th grade year when they transitioned, those were our 9th graders last year, and they were only there for 6 months. And so when you talk about reestablishing and resetting the culture of an organization while we are addressing the critical needs of students who we have never as an organization had to acclimate ourselves to this many new kids all at one time. Yes, many of them are with us, of course, now in the virtual environment, but as you will see, when we do our rounds in our walks, it is completely different. And if you do not have a previous relationship, rapport, connection, while our staff, we're working very hard to build those things, there is, that is lost in the virtual atmosphere. So having a board member, who can provide that insight as we journey through what is going to be new territory for all of us. We are forecasting already how staffing is going to need to look different. We are forecasting, the wins, but also we are forecasting the challenges that are going to be associated with that. And so right now we're trying to beef up our network of support to make sure that, our kids have what they need once we get back into the school.
So I think what we're thinking about is ideally, for those of you who remember Manon, she was also often able to like connect us with somebody because she kind of knew who was doing what in the city and what organizations were out there. And sometimes when there was a, kind of need that would arise, she'd say, well, let me get you in contact with so-and-so. Somebody who has that kind of network would really, I think, be helpful. Anything else, Kemba? Did we cover it? Great, thank you.
I think
All
so.
right.
We'll send out a job description, so to speak. But anyone off the top of their head, I also don't want this drag on too long. I know if we have to turn to Ed Board Partners, we can and we will. So if you come up with people in your mind in the next couple of days, please reach out to me. Even if you, I'm trying to think too, just maybe check in before you even reach out to anyone. And we do some soft outreach first. Usually if you have a relationship with someone, you would reach out and say, hey, would you have any interest in this kind of a thing? But I can walk you through kind of how we've done that. But if no one kind of comes up with any names in 7 to 10 days, we'll probably turn to Ed Board Partners and do it that way, which is a couple $1,000, but.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so that's what I had for new business, just those 2 items. So does anybody else have anything else for new business? Last call. Is that it? Well, okay then. Then I think the meeting's adjourned.
Great.
Well done. Thank you, everybody.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
We'll see you all in January.
And that big loud shout that you hear at midnight on December 31st, 2020, that's me celebrating the end of what has arguably been one of the most trying years ever. Have a wonderful, wonderful holiday season, you all.
Thank you. You too. Bye.
Bye.